Welcome back, listeners, to a brand new episode of The New Standard. And you're checking out the program right after game day after a Steelers victory as the Pittsburgh Steelers move to 2-0. I forget what the stat was they said on the broadcast. It's the first time the Steelers have been 2-0 for quite some years. The title of today's program is Bo Sucks Knicks. Yes, Bo sucks Knicks. He's terrible. The Steelers' defense was fantastic. This was a very interesting game, as always. If you want to like and subscribe to the program, hit us with a like and subscribe to the program. Please let everyone know that we're doing the post game, and also spread the word about the show. Also, we'll have the podcast up a little bit shortly after this. But yes, the name of the program is Bo Sucks Knicks. Also, in this program, the segments we're going to jump into is numbers don't lie from the game, from some particular numbers also from the game as well, not just stats from the game. We'll jump into those winners and losers, overall game grades, and holistic thoughts. The first number I want to jump into before we jump into overall game numbers, let me jump into some of the numbers I just wrote down. And that number is number one. One represents scoring one touchdown. The Steelers in 2 games have averaged one touchdown. No, excuse me. They're averaging a half a touchdown. They are averaging 15 points per game. And as John Steelers freak would say, that's 3 less than Canada Dry. But I think we could see in this game, there were some self-inflicting wounds that kept them from scoring some more points. I would think that although they scored one touchdown in 2 games, I think everybody watching the game would think and say that the offense is on the uptick, that Arthur Smith is calling a very good game. However, there is some execution issues where the Steelers are getting tripped up and making it look a lot more ugly than it is. Let me jump into another number. Numbers don't lie. 13. The Steelers have given up 13 points this season. They are giving up, on average, they're giving up 13 points per game. Or no, they're not giving up 13 points per game. They've given up actually 13 total points this season, 6.5 points per game. Yes, I'm a dodo klutz. My math is bad. Although I went to Carnegie Mellon, I should be able to divide 13 by 2. So that's another number. Another number that I want to jump into. The number 3 is the magic number. And it turned out that the 3 penalties that Broderick Jones got on the first series was not the magic number. Like Verducci man said, hey man, Broderick Jones kept out the rest of the game. And I'll defend the coaching staff's decision to do that, because I'm not really convinced the coaching staff is doing the kid a service in terms of how they're managing the situation. But I will say this, at some point in time, you have to take responsibility for your play. You have to get better. But as a guy that's played sports for years and talking to a bunch of people who have played sports, you could tell that the kid has a lack of confidence. He has lost his confidence, and he's a struggling player. And we're going to jump back into our winners and losers for the segment. But, man, it's just a struggle seeing him as a compromised player. And I think the way they've managed the situation, in my opinion, has not been good. For some reason, let me just paint this picture. The Steelers have drafted first round tackles. Big up to my guy, the Steelmatic Network. Make sure you guys check out the Steelmatic Network with G Honda. Solid guy. Thank you, G Honda, for hopping onto the program. Please support him. There is enough traffic for all of us out here. Please give him a like and a subscribe. He's doing solid work. Make sure you check him out. This is what they've done, the Steelers, in terms of managing the situation. And I thought I took a picture of it because I thought a guy on X really said it well. And as I'm checking my phone here, I'm not sure if I took the picture, but actually, here it is. And I want to credit this guy for saying this. This is Justin at _ JH100 on X. He said the following. You draft 2 elite left tackles at the college level in the first round back-to-back years to have them compete against each other for the right tackle position. All the while, you are starting the guy whom you've drafted said 2 replacements for. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, they have tried to draft Dan Less is Moore's replacement the last 2 years, and kudos to Dan Moore. He has stepped up to the plate because he will not allow his job to be taken. But I think they've mismanaged this situation, and it's gotten to the young player Broderick Jones's head. At the same time, Broderick Jones has to bear a lot of the responsibility. He has to be better. Really bad sequence of plays there. Another number that jumped out to me in the game was the number 39. Bo Sucks Nix had 39 passing yards at half. Come on, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure, Russell Wilson is laughing his ass off. I know Russ is disappointed that he couldn't play in the game, but I know Russ is like, oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, you bastard. You draft this guy in the first round. He sucks Knicks. And your team sucks Knicks. We're 2-0. You're not 2-0. You can't win a game. Your offense sucks. Hey, you genius. I'm pretty sure that Russell Wilson is saying all that as he looks at this awful quarterback play by Bo Nix. And I'd like to say that the defense did something special to make Bo Nix struggle like that. But the kid was over his head. He is not good enough right now. When you look at some of the numbers from the game, and we're talking about numbers don't lie, they only multiply. And you're checking out the new standard. The title of the program is Bo Sucks Nix, the Steelers versus Broncos post game. And when you look at some of these game stats here, these are amazing, right? For the game, the Broncos had 13 first downs to the Steelers' 16 first downs. Ironically, though, the Broncos had actually more first downs by passing and rushing. The Steelers got to the 16 number with 5 penalties. Also, another number that jumped out for the game was 10 penalties. I'm not sure if it was the officiating staff, lack of disciplined play, but it was really bad. Some other numbers that jump out. Steelers were only 4 of 13, 30.8% on third down. Broncos were 2 of 16. Total net yards, Steelers were 251 to the Broncos 295. And I'll say this, I'm kind of surprised. But I think when you look at these numbers, it's indicative of how bad the Steelers' offense was in the second half, and that will largely impact the grading in this game, as the Steelers again cannot get to 20 points. So overall net yards 251 for the Steelers, 295 for the Broncos. Both teams ran about the same number of plays, 58. Steelers only averaged 4.3 a play to the Broncos 5.3. So it's pretty interesting that the Broncos, and it turns out that that interception, big play by Corey Trice, Steelers got another 2 turnovers in the game, 2 interceptions, proved to be one of the biggest plays in this game. But again, this is a very interesting because I'm looking at these numbers and it almost feels like these numbers are flip-flop. In terms of nets yards passing, Broncos had 231 to the Steelers 110. In the game, Justin Fields was 13 of 20 for 117 yards. Bo Nix actually was 20 of 35 for 246 with a rating of 55.2. That's an example of all yards aren't good yards or aren't measured the same. There's no way in the world I would have thought that Bo Nix had 246 yards passing in this game. No way in the world, because it did not look like that. He looked like the title of the show, Bo Sucks Nix. This was a very interesting game. I mean, in terms of winners and losers, I think the winner of this game is Justin Fields and Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith called a really good game. I think Justin Fields was in a nice rhythm in the first half. I, I think if you're watching the game, I think if Brojo doesn't make those penalties, I think the Steelers run away and hide with this one. I think they run away and hide. And to Corey's point, numbers don't always tell the truth. And I think the numbers were actually hiding in this game. And so when I look at that number 3, I think those 3 penalties on Broderick Jones were big. I think if they go ahead and score a touchdown on that drive, they run away and hide in this game. Like, although they didn't have a lot of yards or they score a lot of points, I think the penalties killed the momentum, like Young Boy said. I think the offense is pointing in the right direction, but they got to be able to score multiple touchdowns in a game. But I think it's going in the right direction. So overall, winners and losers, I think the winner was Justin Fields. Arthur Smith, I think, was also a winner. I think Corey Trice was a winner on the defensive side of football, made the defensive win, the defensive play of the game. Also, man, the funny thing in this game, too, as you're checking out the program, the new standard, Bo Sucks Nix. Does TJ Watt have the force? Does TJ Watt have the force? I swear TJ Watt hit Bo Nix with the force, and he fell down, and TJ Watt got a sack. Speaking of the force, I'd like to send my thoughts and prayers and condolences to James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader. Fantastic actor. Also would like to send my thoughts and prayers and condolences to the memory of Frankie Beverly, because I got that happy feeling. And I have a happy feeling, especially after the Steelers go to 2-0 to again lead the AFC North, as the Baltimore Ravens drop to 0-2, and after the Bengals drop to 0-2, I believe. And so what I'll say this is also, let me speak to Boxing Men 100. And we're not going to get into any political wax poeticking on this show, but I will say this. Voting is the way that you voice your opinion in terms of your dissatisfaction or not with the country. Do not try to kill someone. That's not cool. That's not what you do. As much as you may like or dislike Trump, hey, trying to kill the man, not cool. Not cool at all. So I think we can all agree on that. In terms of losers, uh, Broderick Jones and Pat Meyer. And I think Corey Hatcher will agree with this when I say this. Some of it is on the coach and some of it is on the player. Whatever is going on, and hopefully it's not an injury, but the kid is not playing with any confidence. And he's not getting better. And that a lot of it has to be on him. Give me your thought, Corey Hatcher, in this interplay between the coach and the player. Who do you put it more on, the player or the coach? I mean, it doesn't seem like he's developing and getting better. And Corey said it here that the coaching staff is screwing Jones, in my opinion. First of all, I mean, I've never heard of a right tackle rotation. I've never heard of a right tackle rotation. And Corey is absolutely right. He's not helping himself either. I mean, so, because at the end of the day, whether the coaches do him a justice or not, he'll be the one sitting if his play doesn't improve. And Creo, the traveler, might be right when he says Bo Nix is worse than Johnny Manziel. But at least Bo Nix has a coach that believes in him, who is saddling his coaching reputation to him, which means he will put everything and his ego behind trying to make Bo Nix a very good player. So the winners in this game, Justin Fields, Arthur Smith, Corey Trice. Losers, Broderick Jones, Pat Myers, and Mike Tomlin for thinking that a right tackle rotation was a smart thing to do. Man, I've never seen a right tackle rotation. And I'm raising my hand as I do the show. Has anybody seen a right tackle rotation? Okay, on the first and third series, you gonna play tackle. On the second and fourth series, you gonna play tackle. I mean, come on, man. But I will say this, to Pat Myers' credit, we have seen Dan Moore improve. True or false? Let me ask you guys this. True or false? In 2025-26, Dan Moore will not be a Pittsburgh Steeler. True or false? And I love Corey, and that's why I asked Corey, because Corey's a coach. Corey coaches Corey coaches offensive line. And if Corey says he wouldn't do it at the high school level, why the hell would you do it at the pro level? Hey, man, but we're going to keep this positive. A lot of positives in this game as the Steelers get to 2-0. I'm not into easing the rotation. And Grayson, I want to ask you Grayson a question. JF2, is that Justin Fields 2? He has some amazing passes negated by penalties. Steelers could have had 21. Okay, I know what you're talking about here. Let me say it this way. Yes, you are right. Stillmatic network with G Honda. Why was a quarterback pushing the sled? Because it was a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. They didn't want him to play, so they figured if he could push the sled, they knew it would pop his calf, and so they could. It was a conspiracy theory. But anyway, let me jump back to it. Fields was throwing dimes, like Corey Hatcher said. And let me just pause and say this. You are absolutely right, Ollie Howard Species. There's no rule against Dan Moore getting better. I check. Yes. And let me check my ego out the door. Because sometimes when we do this, we want to be right. If you were following the game on X, I said, look out for the turnover. Corey Trice got the pick. 2 plays later, I popped my collar like I'm some football savant. I mean, we all got egos. We want to be right, but I will take a step back when it comes to Dan less or more. He's definitely more. He's more than the other 2 right tackles, although he got an untimely holding call. But I will say this, he is getting better. He is getting better and he's improving. And I will say this, if the Steelers don't want him next year, there will be a market for him because he is still a young player. Sledgate. Love it. Love it. But I will say this, and I said this on X as I was live tweeting during the game. If Justin Fields plays like this, Russ ain't getting his job back, and Justin Fields is getting a contract next year. If you didn't think that this season was a long ass eval for Justin Fields, again, you're checking out the new standard, Bo sucks Knicks, you're crazy. I mean, the physical talent alone, he gonna get a sniff. The arm talent, his ability to make plays with his legs, has to become a better processor. But the physical tools in comparison to Russell Wilson, definitely not. You know, to Corey's point, and I'm going to push back on Corey a little bit. They need to take the damn training wheels off the offense, only if you think that will produce wins. They don't have an obligation to do that if it doesn't mean it puts them in the best position to win games. They will take the training wheels off the offense when he shows that he can handle it. And I like the progression of the offense. And, you know, the way it's going, it's ticking up. And so Ollie Howard Species, nice Sledgate, giving us more info on Sledgate. I think Russ was already hurt. The Denver coach said he has had a calf in camp last year. No, I think the Russell Wilson that we're seeing is AI. I think they created him on Chat GPT. They typed in Russell Wilson, 35-year-old with a calf injury. What does it look like? And it spit out the Russell Wilson that completed a one out route to George Pickens. Speaking of George Pickens, I think George Pickens really gave Pat Surtain some business. He gave Pat Surtain some work today. George looked good, and I think what you're seeing is with George Pickens, and I think it's evident, is he's hard to handle, man. He's a physical specimen. He's hard to deal with, and he was giving Pat Surtain some work. He was definitely giving Pat Surtain some work. You guys are running with the sled gate. Also, like Corey Hatcher said, though, calves can lead to Achilles, or excuse me, Double H said that. Grace and love my comment. Ha 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 ha. Rush GPT shaking my head. Cold-blooded. Yes, GP14 did put some work on Pat Surtain. This will probably be Pat Surtain's lowest game. In terms of overall grades, first half, I would give the offense an A. Second half, I would give the offense a C. So my overall grade for the offense would be a B. And Pickens is showing Pickens' arrow is going up. It is absolutely ticking up. He is showing number one big dog. I need volume, high volume of targets, big dog status, because he gave Pat Surtain the business. He absolutely gave Pat Surtain the business. And like James Galway said, Pat Surtain running laps tonight. Although they didn't have him exclusively traveling with George Pickens, which was interesting, given the other receiving options of the Steelers. I thought that was interesting. But definitely, he gave Pat Surtain some business. And with his ability to make contested combat catches and his length and size, he's going to give a lot of people some problems and some business. So, but I give the offense an A in the first half, C in the second half, B overall. Overall, I give the defense an A. I mean, when you're giving up 6.5 points over 2 games and you go on the road and you almost shut out Denver, even though Bo Nix or Bo sucks Nix, that's still hard to say. I am being generous, Double H, because I do tend to grade higher in victories. However, if I take another look at it and you look at some of the numbers, B minus C plus might be probably better. Let me drop the grade to a B minus, and we can quibble and argue over the details, and it could possibly be a C plus. But in victory, we'll take that plus and take it to a B minus. Also, big up to Mount Washington. Thank you, James, for pointing that out. Mount Washington got his TD, but 24 points in 2 games. This defense is balling. This defense is flat out balling. I mean, they gave up 6 today. They gave up 10 last week. Excuse me, you divide that by 2. Yes, 16 divided by 2. It is 8. Yes, that is 8.5. No doubt they are leading the league in points per game allowed on defense. They're going to have to definitely score more points against the Chargers. That's going to be an interesting game. But I think the way that it's ticking upward for Justin Fields, I think they feel more confident in expanding what he does. Overall, again, A for the defense. My holistic thoughts is there's meat on the bone for the offense. I mean, anytime you scored only as many points as they've had in the last 2 games, there is definitely meat on the bone. They scored 13 this week. They scored 18 last week. They're averaging 15 and a half points per game. But I'm going to be honest and say this doesn't look like Canada. This looks like if they clean some points up, the ceiling for this offense is probably around 24 points a game if they clean some things up. If some things go right, you may have your game or two where they get 28, but they need to play a lot cleaner. I think they need to play a lot cleaner football because, and that's my other thought in terms of my overall holistic thoughts. They have to be clean on offense. Their offense is not good enough to give anything back because our offense could be described at times as the homeless. Although it is on the uptick, that is a good question as I cut my cipher. Corey, that is an interesting question. I don't know why Patterson is on the team. That would be an interesting thing. And Corey, I'm gonna challenge you, Corey, to watch some of the Steelers game film and watch Pat Freiermuth in the run game. And I'm gonna make this statement that the Steelers run game will consistently be inconsistent if Pat Freiermuth is required to block in the running game. You cannot effectively, in my opinion, run duo with Pat Freiermuth. I think there is a tell when Muth is out there that there are some tendencies that they're going to have to break. I'm going to watch it a little more closely, but I think there's some tells out there when Freiermuth is playing because they can't run duo. They cannot run duo with him in the game. And I'll let Corey explain duo. He is an offensive line coach and a head coach as well. But I think he would agree with my statement that you can't run duo. But again, you are checking out the new standard Bo Sucks Knicks, the Steelers versus Broncos post-game show. Please hit me with a like and subscribe before we get out of here. Please share the program with everybody. You can give me a super chat. Super chats are always welcome. I like money. So you can hit me with some money if you want to hit me with some money. Yes, I'm begging. Yes, I'm begging. But the Steelers go to 2-0. It's a fantastic time for you to be alive and be a Steeler fan as the Steelers go to 2-0. And if you're going to win ugly, win ugly. It's better than losing ugly. I tell you that much. But again, Steelers 2-0, go on a road, beat Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. much better situation than the Denver Broncos. I think right now, I could expect Russell Wilson will not, that Russell Wilson probably will not be the starter for next week's game. Yeah, thank you for explaining that, Coach Hatcher, about duo generally being double teams across the front and inside zone play. A lot of teams run duo to the tight end side, get the double team block in the seal, creating the alley. But it's nice when you're 2-0 in the AFC North and Cincinnati and Baltimore are 0-2. Take them crab cakes, baby. 0-2, baby. Steelers 2-0. It's a nice day to be a Steeler fan. Yes, I did have some coffee, James. And this is me trying to be a little more positive this year, be a little more energetic, and show a little more enthusiasm as I do the show. A lot of meat on the bone. I think the arrow's pointing up for this football team. Najee's toting the rock hard. Justin is running, very hard between the tackles. I think there's some things going up in this game. Very tough wicket hit late in the game. I hope the Steelers wide receiver is healthy, can get out of, I would imagine he'll be in concussion protocol. Let's hope not. But with that, we are going to conclude the program. Again, as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Go Steelers. 2-0, baby.